All righty. How's everybody doing out there? Hope everybody's doing well in the year of the rat 2020. And you know, the year of the rat is a survivor. And rats, they survive in any condition and they multiply. So this is a good year for whatever you're going to do in life to do it, especially if you fall under certain astrological aspects. Today, I'm doing a video on the monk fruit, and that is because I get a lot of questions on the subject, and I used to sell it, and I've been drinking it for about 7-8 years, and great results. And great results to those who have purchased it from me and use it. And it is something that you should incorporate into your food intake or superfood. Now, I call the monk fruit superfood because it is a powerful tool. And this is the monk fruit here. And today we're going to talk a lot about it, and we're going to talk about how to prepare it is the most of the questions that I get, and people have a problem preparing it. So I'm doing this video especially for my lovely daughter, son, for you, Sherry, and for your family and for my family, so that you can obtain this nutritionally valued fruit, which is called monk fruit, but the Chinese name for the monk fruit is Hao Leng Gao. Hao Leng Gao. And it can come in either brown or green, but the browner it is, the sweeter it is. Now keep in mind, when I say sweet, there is no sugar in monk fruit. And monk fruit is the sweetest, according to scientists, according to the Chinese, according to me. And I've had stevia, which is really sweet. If you know how to prepare it, it tastes really good. Stevia, the plant. I like the plant. I don't deal too much with the powder or any of that. I dry it out myself. And that's what I do. I dry out all my herbs, spices, and plants, and sprinkle them on my food when I'm ready to eat. So sometimes when you're preparing food, cooking food, you lose some of the nutritional value. So when you sprinkle that on your food, moringa, purple kale, and I have a jar filled with those dried out herbs that I put on most of the food that I eat. But this is the monk fruit called Hao Leng Gao. And Hao Leng Gao is a very, very nutritionally valued food. And it absolutely has no sugar in it, which is unbelievable because it is sweeter than sugar. Remember, sugar is only sweet because they add salt to it. And it is deadly. White sugar is deadly, okay? And honey is really just a medicine, okay? So honey is not something that you would use every day, you know, in your food, in your drink or whatever, because it's actually a medicine. But then again, all your foods should be medicine. But I wouldn't recommend honey because it's a little bit too much sugar in it. And most of the honey today is really just sugar and water. But the monk fruit is so powerful, it has the ability to cure cancer. It is also known as anti-aging. It actually reverses the aging process, okay? It stops heart attacks. It will stop a stroke. It fights diabetes, and it is an anti-inflammatory. It builds your immune system, and it helps you to lose weight. Those are some of the nutritional properties of the monk fruit. You could purchase my book called Astrophytotaxis in a PDF file, which will give you the breakdown even more so. But this is the monk fruit. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to prepare the monk fruit. Now, not everyone's going to do all the things that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about how I prepare my monk fruit. The first thing I do is I get me a glass jar. And the glass jar is filled with, if I shake it up like this, the water turns black because it has activated charcoal and shungite to purify the water. Okay, you could hear, if I turn it like that, you could hear the shungite rocks that I have in the bottom, and then the darkness that you see is the actual charcoal. Okay, the activated charcoal. So we know that activated charcoal, there's books written on that. So that is the water I use to boil my monk fruit. That's the water I use, which hopefully you're not drinking plastic bottled water anymore. You don't, if you are, you take it out of the plastic and get you a glass jar, which you can get a glass jar for like $2.99, $1.99. See how the water is starting to become clear again because the charcoal is sinking back down, because this has been sitting for over a couple days now. I fill it up almost every 2 days. I drink, when they say drink 8 glasses of water a day, I drink 2 of these, okay? So, but I wait till the darkness shifts down to the bottom and the water is clear, and I drink that. And I transfer the clear water to my drinking bottle. This is what it looks like after the shungite. Really good stuff, okay? Really good stuff. Earlier I talked about my herbs that I make to put on my food, and I keep them in a little jar with turmeric, with purple kale, rosemary, moringa, dried dandelion, which I have some dried dandelion drying now. But let's get back to the monk fruit. So, what you want to do is you want to go and get you one of these big, large boiling pots, okay? This one is stainless steel, okay? You could use iron, you could use copper, but the copper heats up too fast. I use copper for something else. I don't use it for making tea. You can though, a smaller pot. But this is a big pot that I use for my monk fruit. Now, what I do is, when I make my monk fruit, I take one of the monk fruit like this, and I break it open. And it's going to break open almost like an egg, and then you can crush it up. And see, when I crush it up, that's what it's going to look like. And it's very sweet as it is. You can actually eat one of the kernels that are on the inside. Very delicious. So you take that and you crush it up like that and just drop it into the pot. Drop it into the pot. Okay? Now, I usually like to use 2 monk fruits, but today I'm just going to use 1, because what I'm going to do when it's finished cooking, I'm going to mix it. I'm going to use the water from the monk fruit to make my black rice, okay? Or kamut, or whatever you want to make. If you're going to make kamut, you let it soak overnight in the monk fruit. And then you pour it into the pot and you cook the kamut until all the monk fruit or all the water is gone. You can use water, monk fruit, whatever. Or you could just, when you cook the kamut, just use your spices that you crushed up and made, so to have all the flavor and all the nutritional valuable stuff that you may need. But 1 monk fruit in here. As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and make 2 so I can make some tea for tomorrow. Crush open another one. Just crush it open like that into little pieces and drop it in there. Okay? Now, Now, you could drink the monk fruit by itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, this is the way I drink it. I drink it with other spices in there too, other plants. And one of the plants that I use is, I got a big jar of hibiscus. And hibiscus is a very powerful food. Lowers the blood pressure, just like the monk fruit. And the hibiscus, when it lowers the blood pressure, it boosts the nitric oxide, okay, and brings relaxation. Very good stuff. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. And I take a handful of that. Take a handful, and I drop it in there too, along with the monk fruit. So now I got monk fruit, hibiscus, and I'm not done yet, yo. I also take some cinnamon, which we know that cinnamon is good for lowering the blood pressure, clearing the vision. It's good for diarrhea. It's actually good for erectile dysfunctions, kidney disorder, menstrual problems, cancer, and so forth, and depression. So I have a few sticks of cassia cinnamon, and I'm going to drop that in there too. Okay? And so now we got our mixture of monk fruit, hibiscus, and cassia cinnamon, which you could drink the monk fruit by itself. I've just been drinking it for quite some time, and I've just added on as I went. Now, you don't just add anything to the monk fruit. Some of the fruits are yang, some of them are yin, or some of them are hot, and some of them are cool, as they would say when you're dealing with herbs, okay? And some of them match and some don't match. So the three that I put in here all match well together. It's going to give the monk fruit a type of lemony twang. The hibiscus is going to give it kind of like a lemony, spicy twang to the sugary taste, and the cinnamon is going to give it is going to even ground the monk fruit even some more. But then I also take and I change it up. Sometimes I use different herbs with the monk fruit, okay? You can get my book, Astrophytotaxis, and that will break it down for you. So what I do is I also have a little jar here of Star of Anise. Star of Anise. And that is excellent for killing bacteria, killing germs, and I'm going to use about 3 of those in there. 3 of those in there. Boom. Okay? So we're talking about the monk fruit here, or Hao Lung Gao. Then, I think that's all I'm going to use in this batch of monk fruit. I have another batch of monk fruit that I also use ginger. Ginger is excellent with monk fruit. Awesome. Just adds it just brings the pop out of it. Okay, a little bit of spice to it. Really, really good ginger with it. And so I have my pot filled with what I'm going to use to make my tea. Now, and you fill it up with water. Fill it all the way almost to the top with water. And when you fill it with water and you put it onto the fire, make sure the fire is very low. Because this is going to take about 2 hours at least on a low fire to permeate all what you have in there and make the taste very calming, peaceful, and give it a loving type energy. Low fires will bring the love out of the food. And the high fires is violent. High fires are, I only use a high fire when I have some cooked food that I made already and I'm reheating it. Then I'll use the high fire to get it reheated real quick. No low fire there. Always high fire if you're reheating up food that you made already. Because when I cook foods, I cook them for the whole week. So I take out a few spoonfuls and heat them up on a high fire. But while you're cooking it, always on a low fire. Very, very low fire, and especially for the monk fruit. I mean, when you cook rice, there's a certain level, medium to low. When you're cooking like black wild rice, kamut, and those kind of things. Never a high fire, never a low fire until all the water's gone. But monk fruit on the low fire will bring it to the place where you want it to be. And it will take, like I said, about 2 hours. And then you could have some hot, or you could fill your water jug and put it in the refrigerator. And in the summertime, have your nice cool drink. It's good hot and it's good cold. Awesome, awesome stuff. Now, the monk fruit is used as a sugar for whatever you're going to make. You can make, get you some original chocolate, or coca as they call it, which is bitter, and you add that to the monk fruit, and now you got hot chocolate. You could add it to any other tea that is on the same frequency. Some teas are yang, some are yin, but if you're going to use it as a sugar, you can almost add it to almost any tea, okay? And like I said before, it has no sugar in it. So, highly recommend that you get off the Kool-Aid. Get off the Kool-Aid, because there's something out there better than sugar, tastes better than sugar, sweeter than sugar, and guess what? Monk fruit pulls out all of the white sugar that you ate in your life from childhood, okay? Now, the way I cook food and the things I drink, I could eat all day long, belly full, but I don't gain a pound of excess fat. The kind of fat that you want is the fat that your body needs as energy, not excess, okay? So, because fat is energy, but not the excess fat from the garbage foods that we have been trained to eat as children. Highly recommend the monk fruit. I've been pushing this for years and years and years. Finally, people are starting to catch on, but I'm telling you that by using the monk fruit for sugar rather than honey, maple syrup is not real, because maple syrup is actually water. It comes out as water from the maple tree, and they have to cook it to make it taste sweet. It has to be cooked. So you don't want maple syrup. Get maple water. If you're going to really go out, and if you're on one of my tree tours, or if I start doing tree tours again, I will show you how to get the sweetest water that you could find from not only the maple tree, but the birch tree, the sycamore, and various other trees that have drinking water, pure. Certain trees, like the sycamore, like the London plane, actually clean gutter water. They'll clean the water in your neighborhood through the tree. They suck it up. That's why they put them, if you go by rivers in New York and in big cities, you'll see those trees all by the river, because they suck up toxic water and purify it, and you can drink it. Beautiful stuff. Awesome stuff. So suppose one day they shut down all the supermarkets. What you gonna do? You better learn this stuff. This is what you used to know. This is what, when the Africans came here, and other Moors from around the planet, they came here knowing all about the food. That's what made you so valuable. Remember, a plantation was Angolans who taught the European how to plant plantains. And when he planted plantains, that became known as a plantation. Plantations don't come from the European, plantations come from Africa, or from around the world, really, is what we taught the world how to cook and eat food. All wars were started based on people can't eat. You were the person or the Moor who went around the planet showing people and teaching people how to make food. We even taught the Native Americans. Native Americans were starving. They was hungry. They was eating buffaloes and shit like that. Okay? You taught them how to grow real corn and how to modify the corn. Genetic modifications, when we talk about GMO and we talk about, it was a big company, what was that company that was making all the GMO? I forget the name of it. But they learned that from you. They learned that from you because you modified certain foods to grow in certain land masses. And when they grow in certain land masses, it accommodated the DNA of the people on that land masses, on that land mass. That's why you have wild rice, black rice, basmati. You have all these different rices because we taught how to grow them in your country. You don't go, when you travel, you want to taste other people's food, but that's not your food because that doesn't resonate with you. That's how come when someone comes to America or come to New York, I'm in New York, you could tell they're not from here because they dress differently. That's why people have their own way of dressing, culture and all of that, and that's the same thing that we as Moors taught the whole world. So sometimes we look at genetic modification as bad, unnecessarily so. That's why you have all these different types of apples. They are acclimated to the different genetics people have. You got to find the one that fits you. For me, I like the little small ones they call crab apples or hawthorn apples, which are original. I'm in New York and I can go outside like a supermarket, wild lettuce, wild greens, dandelion, apples, all over the place. Dandelion season is coming up in April in New York. If you're in New York and you see yellow flowers, go get you some dandelion leaves. Wash them off. When you wash them off, use baking soda and apple cider vinegar. You wash them off and you soak them in that for a little while. And then you rinse them off and then you're ready to go. Okay? So that's how you make your monk fruit. And monk fruit is the nutritional value. I mean, you don't have to listen to me. You can go on YouTube. You could type it in and see, what are the properties. But this is just my video to show you how to prepare it for yourself. You could add in star anise. You could add in whatever you want to add to it that you like. Soursop, numerous things that you could add to it. You could actually make it into a meal. How do you make it into a meal? You get the red dates that are dried out and you boil them with the monk fruit, and then you could eat the red dates out of the monk fruit, and that will fill you up. 4 red dates will give you the nutritional value of a full day's meal. 4 red dates will fill you up. You won't be hungry, and it will give you the nutritional value of all the nutrition and vitamins you need, enzymes, and everything that you need for the rest of the day. Peace. My name is Azazel Bey. You can go to my website and read more about it. You can purchase my book. Azazel@live.com is my email. And Azazel.net is my website. Enjoy.